Hallo und willkommen. So hello and welcome, and thank you for joining me, Silky Learn German, for this new video. So something that a lot of my German students ask is how they can actually practice the language more and how they can integrate it into their everyday and just practice a lot more frequently. So I've thought about it and I've come up with 10 top tips that I think work and are quite useful and that I'd like to share with you. Initially though, I just want to say that two things are really important. Number one is little and often is important. So I think it works a lot better if you try and practice a little bit every day rather than sort of having big hour-long sessions very infrequently. And then the second thing is variety. So you're going to enjoy it a lot more and you're going to stick with it a lot more if there's some variety, if you're using different resources, different activities, and it's just going to be a lot more fun, I think. So the top 10 tips then that I've got, number one would be learn a few words every day. As little as 10 words every day is going to make a difference, and I would advise you to sort of group them together. So you might say, okay, today I'm going to learn 10 adjectives. You might even want to learn the opposite, so you might want to learn hot and cold, for example, big and small, that kind of thing. Or you might want to learn 10 words related to shopping, something like this. The second tip is related to number one. Have the language in lots of different places. So for example, have maybe a vocab book in the bathroom. So when you're having a bath, you can just go over the words for the day. Have it in the bedroom, so before you go to sleep, just have a quick look through it. Maybe even in the car, so when you're waiting to pick someone up, you can just grab your vocab book and just learn the words. It can be useful as well to have maybe an app on the phone, or at least have some of the vocab stored on there, and then again, maybe you're on the bus, you're on public transport, you can get your phone out and just quickly practice a little bit. Number three would be to listen to maybe the radio, a podcast or a spoken book, because you want to expose yourself to as much of the language as possible. So have the radio on. Obviously a lot of the radio stations are available online, so go to the internet, maybe download a book. It could be a children's book, or some podcasts are actually available specifically for language learners. So that's a really good way of exposing yourself to the language and just, I suppose, practicing it. The next point would be to watch television. So it's obviously linked to the one before. So watch television in the target language. It could be if you've got a satellite package, obviously use that. But you can just go to the internet. There are a lot of stations available online, so my German students are often point to ARD Mediathek, ZDF Mediathek, etc. But it's going to be available for lots of different languages. So point 5, linked to that, would be to listen to songs in the target language. Again, they could be children's songs, they could be songs on the radio. You can then sing along, you can have a look at the lyrics, you can pick out key vocab, or even think about grammar points that might come up in that song. But that's quite a fun way, especially if you enjoy music, of just practicing a little bit more and exposing yourself to the language and learning really without being aware of it. The sixth point would be to read books. So again, a lot of books are available for language learners, but otherwise you could use authentic books, you could use children's books even, because obviously there the language is going to be a lot easier, and read stories, read books. Again, it's a fun way, it's an enjoyable way of extending your vocabulary and just practicing and using the language. Point point 7 is linked to the previous one, and that would be to read magazines in the target language. You can obviously get magazines specific for language learners, but alternatively, if you've maybe got a hobby or you've got an interest, you could just get a magazine related to that. So chances are you are going to actually read it if you're interested in the content, and some of the vocab and some of the words you might actually be able to work out if you know that in your own language. 8 would be to try and make a friend either with a fellow language learner or even a native speaker, and then you could talk, you could write to each other, you could exchange text messages, etc., and just practice your language in that sort of authentic context, really. Alternatively, you could join a group. It could be obviously a real life group where you go and meet some people, or it could be something maybe on social media where you join a group, whether it's a language learning group or whether it's something related to an interest, or maybe you like a particular town, a particular region, and then you can obviously again read authentic language and hopefully sort of join in any conversations or any discussions. Next tip would be to change or try to change the language on your phone, on your mobile phone, and on your computer. And again, by changing the language, you're again using it, you're seeing the language more, and you're sort of exposing yourself to it. And then the final point, so point 10, would be to maybe try some puzzles, some quizzes. So on my website, for example, I've made available quite a lot of crossword puzzles, gap fills, quizzes, word searches, etc. And it's a fun way of practicing the language a lot more and just integrating it into your day and into your life, without really sort of being aware that you're practicing and that you're learning. It's not all about sitting down, learning the words, learning the vocab, practicing the grammar. There are lots and lots of ways of practicing, exposing yourself to the language, using it, and enjoying it a lot more. So those are my 10 tips for how you can practice the language. And obviously you might have some different ones, you might have any other ones that work for you, so please feel free to comment and just sort of share with everyone what works for you, what you've tried, what maybe doesn't work for you, and then we can all hopefully benefit from that. So thank you very much, don't forget to like and subscribe, so vielen Dank und auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss.